Jimmy, the cleats got to come to an end. They always do. I know you say you take your kids to school now. What is next for Jimmy Smith?
I tried to immediately take some workshops and look at franchise and then start, getting into afterlife. But it was like, I'm kind of like the weights. Like, I'll get to it. Like, I'm not in no rush. There's no rush to do it. But, somebody also told me, like, do something you love now. It's difficult to find that out, figure out what you really love after you've been doing something you love for a long time. So it's kind of like I'm going to give myself some time to figure it out what it is that I truly want to do.
And it's intercepted by Marlon Humphrey.
Marlon Humphrey is without a doubt in the conversation to be the best corner in football.
We are here at Studio 44, a special edition. I have a guest who just recently retired on a great career, one of the greatest Ravens to put on the jersey, Jimmy Smith. How are we doing today?
I'm doing excellent.
Jimmy, the news came recently, obviously, with the retirement. What kind of led you to kind of finally hang up the cleats?
At the end of last season, just listening to my body, it was really calling. I'm kind of tired of, getting injured and coming back all the time and fighting that. So I just really listened to my body. So since then, I've just kind of been calmed down and I haven't really worked out too much. I just relaxed at home and visited a lot of family. So it's kind of my deciding factor was like, I kind of enjoy this. I'm good. I know I'm good.
We talked about working out. I was saying we're down a couple guys. We could always. And you said you haven't done much working out recently.
Yeah.
So that was going to be a question I had later, but.
I got the gym down there. I went down there. I got the workouts from my guy.
Okay.
I seen the paper. It was a full body.
Full body.
I got down there and started stretching and was like, I'm not ready yet. It's not time. It's not quite time yet. This is like maybe like a month ago. So that would be the first time I even looked at some weights.
You got to listen to the body. I remember the first time I get here and they're talking about Jimmy Smith, shuts down. And I'm like, I didn't watch NFL growing up. It's all in Alabama. It's all Alabama football, Auburn football.
Same. I didn't watch it either.
So I get here and I'm like, all right. So where's Jimmy Smith? Like, that's him right there. And I'm like, you looked like. I'm like, that was the offseason. You had to stop benching so much, and they were like, bro, you're just putting on too much muscle. And I was just like, crap, this is Jimmy Smith. And then I put on the tape, and you're jamming people like crazy. And I was like, this dude's crazy. But that was my first impression. But back to retirement, was it kind of hard for you to, it wasn't like an immediate season-ending type thing. I'm sure it was a lot. What kind of emotions went through your head as you were deciding to finally make that decision?
Well, I knew one thing for sure. I was only going to play for one team. So it was easy for me to kind of already make a decision knowing that they probably weren't going to mess with me again after that.
Yeah.
So it was aided. Even if I wanted to continue to play, I knew my heart was here. So the decision wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be, but it is hard, I guess, in a way, because I miss the guys. I miss, all that. Like seeing you guys go back to camp was like, oh man, it's already that time. Like you don't realize how quickly time goes by. Kind of weirdly, I missed the structure of every day getting up, doing something. Yeah. Right now, it's just kind of loose. I get up, take the kids to school, and then I'm just playing video games. So it's like, it's kind of one of those decisions that gotta kind of follow your heart. Like I knew it. You've heard me say it.
Yeah.
So I knew just to stay true to myself.
Introduce yourself. Speaking on one team, I actually, before I did this, I looked up your initial draft class. And I was just like, it's crazy how many guys, some guys go on to sign big deals with other teams. Some guys just don't make it out. I think from someone, before I got in the NFL, it seems like it's one team paying one team's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. But getting in the league and you see, for one team to stick around for 10 years, it shows so much willing, really, for the player. How does it feel for you to have only worn one jersey in this league?
It feels amazing. That's kind of one of the things I'm most proud of is that I stuck it out here. Also, the Ravens have something to do with that too. I had some ups and downs, and they stuck with me as well. So, but yeah, when I got hurt back at 14, when I was getting signed again, I never really thought about getting a bigger contract. It was always about staying here, and I think it's just being a Leo. I'm just super loyal, so it's like I said, it's one of the more prouder things I am of being a Raven, sticking it through. all 11 years.
Yeah. So was there ever even a small thought of ever leaving here? Was it always just like, this is home, this is family, this is
Well,
love?
the year before, too, I think, was your fourth year, maybe your third year, when I was signing another 1-year deal, I had some other offers that weren't crazy, but they're a little bit better than the Ravens. But wow, I just committed here. I was
Home is
like,
home.
really, it's home. We're locked in. We're going.
So consistently playing, I know early on in your career, you won a Super Bowl. What was something, I'm curious, was there anything that from your rookie year to your last year, I know there's from rule changes to this and that, is there anything that you can think of that was just like a really big change? Just as far as just how the building was, how the teams were. You've been with Ray and those guys. You've seen so many different eras of teams. Is there anything that sticks out?
As you get older, I guess Harbaugh got a little tiny bit softer. Not much. Like he's still steel, but he's warmer still right now. Like he's other than that, nothing really has changed much. You get the same type of good-hearted ball players that not choir boys, but like good people that get after and work hard. So it's like that culture always remains.
I know you and Harbaugh were really close. What's kind of something that between you and him that made you guys so close? Like I remember one point you told me sometimes you would just reach out to Harbaugh, just talk about life, not even about football. What was something about Harbaugh that's just, and honestly, as I've gotten older, I've really gotten like closer to Harbaugh myself. Like I remember, I'm not gonna lie, like early on I was just like, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and then as I've grown on, I really started to grow more love for Harbaugh in the offseason, just have just a conversation, not even about ball. And so what was that with you, with Harbaugh?
Harbaugh just, he always challenged me. He was always there for me, making sure we're, heads on straight. Like I said earlier, I went through a whole lot of stuff, and during that time, he was there for me. And, as a player, you always look up to your coaches as role models, as mentors. So you kind of watch somebody for 11 years, and you see what he teaches, the lessons they put out, and if he walks it or he just talks it. And he's a person that walks it. He's actually who he says he is. He's very honest.
Yeah,
he will tell you if you're getting burnt up. He'll tell you if you're acting out. He'll tell you all those things. I just remember one story, and I've never sagged again. I got on the plane one time, and Harbaugh and this when I was young too. He got on the plane. He looked at me like, Jimmy. I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was just like, your pants, like, it's gross. Grow up. And I'm just like, oh. And from that day, I was like, I'm never going to sag again. That was embarrassing. But it was like small things like that, little things like that helped me grow up, become a man, more mature. But just watching those lessons, watching him teach, it rubs off on you.
Yeah. Back to kind of switching gears a little bit to football. You've had, obviously, a lot of years playing in this league. I know you had a huge game-winning play in the Super Bowl. Besides that play, is there another play that kind of just sticks out? I mean, I can think of a lot myself when you had 2 picks against the Browns. It goes on and on. But is there a certain play or a couple plays that you just remember that just stick out that you'll just feel like you'll never forget?
Yeah, but they're not good. I mean, the worst I've ever been beaten was by Amari Cooper. I think I told you this.
You told me that one.
He hit me I had a confident second down. I made a play on like a slant. He batted it down, and then they come at third down. So I'm cocky in his face, and this is fresh off the list, Frank, too. I was just being silly. And he hit me on a post corner, and he was already on the corner, and I was still reacting to the post, and caught the ball and just took straight off down the sideline. And the reason that sticks out, because I've never been beat that bad. I didn't know what to do. I ran off the sideline. I was just like, whoa. That's never even happened in college. Like, it's never happened in practice. It was just one of those plays. On a good play, one play that kind of goes, it was a great play that, at that time I was upset, but it was a play that in the Denver Broncos game, we had that returner had taken 2 back on us already, and they were kicking it deep to him. And I remember Coach Jerry just like, y'all go out there and make a play. And we went down there, and I ended up tackling him down at the 5, and I ended up kind of changing the time to overtime. So it was like another huge play that I always remember that kind of just untalked.
Being that I came in, you were kind of like my mentor. I'm curious to ask you, when you were, rookie second year, who's kind of that guy you looked up to that kind of helped you kind of pave the way for your career?
We had multiple guys coming in during that time. And I think Webby was like maybe the oldest. So Webby was kind of the guy I leaned on the most. But then when Weddle got here, I learned from Weddle a lot. Steve Smith, weirdly, somebody I really like looked up to, like taught me a lot in practice, taught me about, just covering and all that. And, he's Steve, he keeps it honest. So, people like those type of players I kind of looked up to wasn't necessarily somebody in my position.
I don't even know if you remember this, actually. I guess this was my 3rd year, and I think you were hurt or something had happened. And I'm in the hotel. We were playing the Browns, and the game plan I was going to match Odell, and I'm like sitting in my hotel room, and like you call me, I'm like, why did Jimmy call me on Saturday night? And I answer, and you're like, bro, you ready? And I'm like, ready for what? He's like, bro, the game. I know you're matching up, and then you started telling me about how you used to do that, and I just remember you're like, you're gonna be tired. It's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a battle, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, and I felt like then it was like. You put a lot of trust in me to I was confident I could do it, but you really helped me with confidence going into that game. And then I went to sleep that night, and I was like, really just, my mindset was just like, yo, I really got to do this. I got to do this. And so I appreciate you for that. But that was just one of the biggest things that stuck out to me, just being a young guy. And, I felt like I had.
That the day
that was
that day.
That was that day, but that was your fault. You had me
Hey,
that
hey,
gassed
hey,
up.
hey.
So either way, it was a good. I just remember having so many vets in my room, like Eric Weddle, Webby, B. Carr, and I'm just like, and it's weird now because it's like there's not those guys because I'm that guy.
Yeah.
So
It's funny you say that because, when you're young, I heard that a lot too. Like, hey, we're gonna, this turns over quickly, and this team is already like don't know half the people on it. Like who's number 49? I've been watching, but it turns over so quickly. So you kind of the core people do stay. So when they say like core, you're gonna be here, Ronnie's gonna be here. So you guys keep traditions alive. You keep the organization strong by you guys following that, reaching out to players and making sure they're ready to go. Like. Kind of on your shoulders a little bit. That's one thing that the older guys really, they took it upon them when I first got here. All the vets, it just seemed like it was a vet-ran team. Like they kind of did it. Like, you know what I mean? And being a young guy, seeing it, it was like, oh wow, like I've never watched players control it the way they did.
Yeah.
Like obviously Harbaugh ran the show, but like the players really control
I think it is crazy how it works when you get older, and then it's like even stuff like turf. I just remember. Guys would be like, man, that turf hurts. Ugh. Being a young guy, I'm like, bro, this turf is great.
Loved it. In high school, college, loved it. Now, like after my 4th year, after a few injuries, I'm like, oh man, like. And the crazy thing is just you don't even realize it. By next year, you'll be like starting to feel it in your back a little bit.
I know, that's where I'm at.
So I don't think it's that safe, quite honestly. Watching the kid go down, number 3 from the Giants, like. Yeah. If it's that bad, we should all move to grass.
Yeah.
It's
just so many little things that I've heard you say and other guys say, and it's just like you just can't see it. Now I'm like on year 6, I'm like, guys, the turf is a little rough, but it's crazy to see. So obviously same division, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland, and then Bengals. Out of those 3 teams, who was your favorite rival to go up against?
Steelers, no question.
No question.
Now, the tougher rival, weirdly, was Cincinnati. They kind of had our number for a stretch. Yeah, they had good players. They always have good players, good team, but it's division game. And all records go out during the division game. I think our worst year, we had 5 wins, and 2 of them wins, we swept the Steelers. And I don't know what the Steelers' record that year was, but it was definitely better than ours. But, like, everything goes out the window when you're playing a division game. But the Steelers game was by far my favorite game, always.
I know you and AJ had a lot of matchups. You and AB had a lot of matchups. When you were going into those, that's all when I first came, that's all I heard about. Was like, I felt like AB was the hardest guy to guard, and you were like, I kind of lock him out. I'm just like, that's crazy. What was your mindset going into those games? Because, I mean, you had some iconic matchups with both of those guys. I
really just studied the crap out of them, to be honest. Everything they did, every route, what route the quarterback liked throwing to him the most. And it's usually in those rivalries for AB, he's a smaller guy, so obviously they can't really see through me. So I'm thinking stops and back shoulders and slants. Like I never wanted to give AB space. He's too quick. Like I watched him my rookie year do Kerry Williams so bad. that he kind of put fear in me. I was like, oh, wow, did you see like how I got to go against him? And I remember Matt, he came to me one day, I think like my third year. I was like, you ready to lock up, AB? I'm like, all right. Like, follow around, okay. But it ended up being, I just went out there confident and just tried to be more physical than he is. I knew he was going to make plays, but I ended up going and having a great game, and that just propelled my confidence going against him.
Did you have a favorite guy to go up against, or somebody that you just felt like was one of the toughest matchups that you had?
My toughest matchup, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Because it's a physical battle, and obviously
Very
rules have
physical
changed. He can be more physical than you. You can't really
He's strong.
grab this guy.
He's
Like,
strong.
they're gonna flag you. But I'm not saying taking nothing away from his skill. He toasted me. But it's like it wasn't just straight speed or like he had better route running that day. It was just a good day. But he ended up being a tougher opponent for me. Even watching him on the film, I don't really, sometimes you see somebody on the film, you're like, oh, okay, all right, we're gonna get after it. And then you get out there in the game, he's like, what? This is the same guy.
It's
Is this
different.
the same guy?
Yeah, it's different.
My rookie year against San Diego, they had, I can't even think of his name. He's number 80, Malcolm Floyd. So Malcolm Floyd kind of looked, and I was a cocky little rookie, so Malcolm Floyd kind of looked, like not that fast.
Yeah.
They had Vincent Jackson, rest in peace, and Malcolm Floyd. And I remember seeing Malcolm Floyd, like, okay, like we knew about Vincent, but Malcolm Floyd, I'm like, okay. But he was sneaky. This man torched me this game. At home, have all my family come to this game in San Diego.
Right.
But it was that after that, I was like, all right, you can't take anybody for granted. You can't just look at somebody like, oh, he's slow. You can't, you know what I mean? But he gave me a good little whooping.
Yeah, you always got to respect everybody.
Right.
It just turns into a long game if you don't. It can get bad. Obviously, you played in a lot of the same stadiums. Favorite stadium to play in?
Oh, I like the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs Stadium.
Chiefs Stadium. It's they're close.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stadiums that
It's
are just
loud.
almost too close.
You were there.
Yes.
Was he when we went 17? When we tied them and they beat us in overtime at their stadium? I think the first time Lamar was playing them.
Yeah, that was.
That game was
that random
epically loud.
Mahomes throw up? Was that the?
That was the screen pass. CJ,
Oh, the CJ.
lost in overtime.
Gosh.
It was just that game was extremely loud. Like, now it's like maybe the second time I've been in that stadium. I like how they have the chant. They got the
Oh yeah.
Any stadium that kind of has something in unison, kind of like Texas A&M does this. Like any stadium that has something that they do in unison, I think is pretty cool.
All right.
Seattle.
I like Seattle's. I like
nice.
their stadium look.
Yeah.
I like their stadium look. It is surprisingly loud, and it's not even closed in. I feel like the back part is open or has a weird.
Well, in the old Heinz Field, but I don't know what they're changing the name to.
Oh, talking about Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's. I never liked the grass there, but
I love playing there. Yeah. That's my favorite place to play. Ravens fans, you've had the same fans consistently. How would you describe Ravens fans?
Honest, brutally honest. They will tell you about your performance. No problems. But they live and die for their Ravens. Like I go around now and like this morning I was putting air in my tire and, I got nervous. I see a car parked and he parked weirdly by himself. I'm like, antennas up. Like I'm just pumping the gas looking. And then he hops out and he looks at me and I'm just like, and I was comfortable when I seen him hop out. He hopped out in a suit, but he was just staring at me. But then when I pulled in, when I got up, I looked over at there's another guy with a Ravens hat on, just kind of looking at me. And then I just kind of looked over at another guy. I'm like, why is these dudes looking at me? I tried to go back and he goes, Jimmy. And I'm just like, hey, like, what's up? He's just like, hey man, we love you. It's like love, you know what I mean? They come up, took pictures, and I'm always showing love, but they really love you out here.
Love the Ravens.
So I ain't left yet.
They love the Ravens. Jimmy, the cleats got to come to an end. They always do. I know you say you take your kids to school now. What is next for Jimmy Smith?
Next is just traveling, spending time with the family. I tried to immediately take some workshops and look at franchising and start, getting into afterlife. But it was like, I'm kind of like the weights. Like, I'll get to it. Like, I'm not in no rush. There's no rush to do it. It's not a need for anything. But, somebody also told me, like, do something you love now. it's difficult to find that out or figure out what you really love after you've been doing something you love for a long time. So it's kind of like I'm gonna give myself some time to figure out what it is that I truly want to do.
Man, figure out something to do after you do something you've already loved. I like it. Jimmy, thank you for your time. Enjoy retirement and find that love.